Do you have questions about your health? Do you need to find out what's keeping you from feeling your absolute best? If so, your intuition has guided you to the right place. I am Dr. Charlize, and welcome to the Art of Healing podcast community. In this podcast, we explore all topics in health and wellness, from Reiki to functional medicine, energy medicine, chakras, and meditation. Join me every week for fresh new episodes that highlight healers, various healing modalities, and choose this as your opportunity to find what healing works best for you. If you want to learn more about me, simply Google at Dr. Charlize. Enjoy. So, Art of Healing podcast listeners, I'm so excited to have you join us for this episode. If you are listening or if you're on the webinar and you are watching us, before we launch into this, I have a little bit of a confession. Even though I'm a physician and I treat humans, and I am lucky enough that I have occasional a Reiki human client, honestly, people, I get tired of humans. I'm not even going to lie. So I'm not even going to lie. I should tell you all this about you, but every once in a while, I'm so lucky that I'll have a client, usually a Reiki client, will ask me to treat a beloved, to provide Reiki or channel Reiki for a beloved pet family member. And I've been lucky enough to have a few Reiki clients that are animals. And guys, I should not tell you all this, but I cannot wait when I get the chance to treat a beloved pet and animal. And I've been lucky enough to have rescue animals I could have Reiki help me with. So with that being said, I was, again, humans, no offense, but I was getting a little human saturated. And lo and behold, here comes Stephanie. Stephanie is an animal lover who listens and observes from her heart. She's developed a unique blend of communication, intuition, and healing that has the potential to create a deeper bond between you and your animal companion, fostering a sense of harmony that resonates on all levels: emotional, physical, energetic, and spiritual. She has learned how these divine sentient beings are capable of opening the door to infinite wisdom and unconditional love. And honestly, humans, I'm trying to have unconditional love, but I'm just so happy we get an animal break. When we open our hearts to them, they can teach us life's mysteries that lead us to having a more joyful life. Additionally, Stephanie, who is joining us, is the author of I'm sorry, Stephanie, I forgot the name of your book. You have to forgive, but she's an author of a recent book that she's going to share with us on the podcast. So welcome, Stephanie Stefan, to the podcast. I am so happy you have come to rescue us from all of our human drama, and you're bringing us some wisdom from the animal kingdom. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This is quite the honor. It's always a pleasure talking about animals, and you already did the introduction so beautifully. Animals are just this incredible portal to unconditional love. And this is why actually the book is called The Path to Unconditional Love, because it's the animals that showed me how to get there. Humans, not so much.
And again, humans, no offense, but for those of us that are animal lovers or pet lovers, it's just a breath of fresh air when I get to interact with animals in this way. I find that it brings me so much peace. So, Stephanie, why don't we start with your story and what led you to first working with animals and animal Reiki?
Yes, I believe since I was a kid, I loved animals. I felt they were angels on earth. I felt they were the embodiment of love. And I felt that divine source, divine God is love. So to me, when I saw an animal, I just saw, oh, there's just source in the form of a cat, or there's source in the form of a fish, or there's source in the form of a horse. I just felt that divine essence just permeating through their bodies, whether they were small or big. And every single animal to me was very special ever since I was a kid. And fast forward, as I was deciding if I was going to go into college and learn the art of healing animals or not, I realized I do not really feel like I have the heart to practice euthanasia when necessary. I will have a broken heart on a daily basis if I go into this career. And I did not pursue it because of that reason. Then, fast forward again, a friend of mine asked me. I was working in a whole different industry that had nothing to do with the healing arts. And a friend of mine asked me, Stephanie, would you be interested in learning Reiki? I am going to teach a class and I think you would enjoy it. And not much about it. I went in because I trust my friend is a wonderful friend of mine. And I went in and learned Reiki. And lo and behold, the one who was always volunteering his time to receive Reiki was my dog. He loved it, enjoyed it so much. My daughter, not as much because she was busy. It is, oh, mom, I just don't have time right now. And so she was benefiting from it, but she just didn't have the willingness to set time aside to help her mom practice the hours that she needed in order to learn Reiki, right? But my dog was, oh, please, anytime. And that's when I realized, wow, animals really love Reiki. And I started expanding my practice with sanctuaries where they rescue farm animals from abuse, neglect, or abandonment. And they loved it too. So this is not just an animal that lives with me, any animal. Then I practice animals in the wild. I would see animals anywhere and I would just send them Reiki as well. And they will stop and receive it. And I love that. I went to the zoo. I've been everywhere pretty much. And I love it so much because it just fills my heart in a way that nothing else does. It's an expansion of love, and I just feel like in heaven, pretty much. And I cannot even describe how they feel too, because it is a symbiotic relationship. What I feel, they feel, and vice versa. So I feel they heal me as much as I heal them. It's just a transmission of energy that makes us all happy and healthy. It's beautiful. So that's my story.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that it was your fur baby that taught you what was possible. Because I know when I first learned Reiki, I didn't know animal Reiki was even a thing. So I just love that. So if I may ask, was it the book that you've recently written, was this where the inspiration started for your book, or did the inspiration start, along the way as you gain more experiences with and do you only treat animals or do you treat humans with Reiki as well?
Yes. All right. This was basically a calling. My my spiritual mentor is Mother Mary. I'm very connected to this loving energy of her sacred heart. And the calling came from her basically to spread the word about we can live in our hearts. We don't need to live in our minds. There's a much pleasant experience in life if we are able to stay grounded and live through our hearts and not shut down because we are always thinking, overthinking, overanalyzing. And so that is where the inspiration came. It was not really a desire on my part to, oh, yay, let me check off that box that I want to be an author sometime in my life. That was never in my list. It was never. So when she came and asked me, would you share what you've learned? I said, of course. And I wrote the book in 10 days. It was during a Christmas break. My job was very busy and I was just having the time during Christmas to relax and all the information came through. I just typed it all down in 10 days. And of course, I did ask a publisher to help me out, structure and create a more cohesive message that I can just share all of the learnings that I had. And that's how the book came about. And so 10 months later, I published it. And that was the reason why I got inspired to do it. And yes, I'm actually very shocked about it because going from never thinking about it and actually having a book now, a tangible book that I can show, hey, I wrote this and this is the message. It's mind blowing to me. When I think about it. But yes, so that's the story about the inspiration about the book. And what was the other question? If I treat animals and humans at the same time, or
Oh, do you also treat humans, or are you only treating, or is your practice only
animal?
animals? Yeah.
Yes, I here's the difference between animals and humans. Animals are already in their heart. I feel they are very evolved creatures. They're very evolved beings. We think that they know better than us, but it's the opposite because they are able to create a bond that is so strong that people grieve animals sometimes harder than they grieve a human that has passed. It's because that bond is so strong. Their love is unconditional. With humans, on the other hand, we have developed an ego. We identify ourselves with this and that, and we are not always very connected to our own hearts. We're very connected to our minds, that all the time, more than we should, but not our hearts as much. And so, connecting and having a bond that is so strong with another person doesn't happen often. So that is the biggest difference. For me, I prefer to treat animals because they are open. They are not questioning, they're not overanalyzing, they are not distrusting the process. They are open. They are open to receive, and it is up to them to utilize the energy I transmit in any way, shape, or form that they prefer. This is an offering, it's not an imposition. I offer, and they use it if they want to. And 99% of the times they do. And humans, on the other hand, they question it, they're not open to it, and I don't really have the time to explain myself. It's either if they're open to it, absolutely, I'm all for it. If you're not open to it, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to be. So I just don't have the time to explain things. I just do it. So I believe that indirectly, every single animal that I work with is transmitting that same energy to their humans that live in the household with them. So the healing actually is exponentially expanded to the entire household, not the animal in question. So to answer your question, I think I indirectly do both.
That is so cool. So you're saying that working with the pet baby helps heal the whole family. I have never considered that, and I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. That's amazing. So, for many of our listeners on the podcast, we discuss Reiki quite a bit. We've never discussed animal Reiki. Can you tell us, is animal Reiki different from Reiki that humans may receive? Is it done the same way? Is it delivered the same way? Can you just give us a brief introduction? Because for some of our listeners, they didn't know this was probably possible for their animal friends and family.
Yes, absolutely. I can give you a little bit of background before I answer your question. I have four different kinds of Reiki. I started with the traditional Usui Reiki, in which I'm a master level. That is the one where you utilize your hands in specific parts of the body, you utilize symbols, and you open up yourself as a vessel of energy so that the person receives the energy through your hands. It's a hands on practice in the traditional sense. I also work with the Shelter Animal Reiki Association. The Shelter Animal Reiki Association is hands off because when we work with animals that are rescued from abandonment and cruelty and abuse, having a stranger's hands on their body can be extremely triggering and traumatizing. So we do not touch the animals unless the animal requests to be touched, in which case they come and they nudge you, they They come in contact with your own body, and you allow that to happen if that's what they request. But if they don't request it, we are completely hands off. And we are sitting sometimes or standing in that case, because I could be working with cows or horses or pigs or animals that are away in the field. And I am projecting my energy that I am transmitting, I am projecting it towards them in the field. So I am nowhere near them where they can touch me or I can touch them. So it's a very different, completely different practice. And then this is something that can be done in humane society places, shelters of any kind, rescue organizations, anywhere. I even practice this at the zoo. I go to the zoo and I also practice projecting the energy to the animals that are in their enclosures that are away from my reach. And they receive it because I ask them, I love getting validation from them. I love it. And so every now and then I know they're receiving it because they are showing it to me. However, there are times when I do ask, if you're receiving it, will you turn around and look at me? And they do. And I just love that. I love them. It just brings me to tears a lot of times because their love it's just so strong. Yeah. And then the other two types of Reiki that I have, one is Pendragon Reiki, and this is more earthy. Reiki is very based on the dragon energy, all of the elemental energy, the air, the water, the fire, the earth. And so that one does not also require to have the physical touch with the animal. I can use the symbols. I can also transmit that energy, and I'm drawing a lot of energy from that elemental source. And the other one is actually hands on, because the other one that I also have is the Dragon Empowerment Reiki. And that one was developed by a person that also does a lot of therapy. And it is also utilizing a lot of the same power sources that we use in the traditional Usui Reiki, where we put our hands in specific parts of the body. So I have all of that. And at the end of the day, it's the animal that chooses what they want. It's not me. So if they want the touch, they'll come and I'll put my hands on them. Or maybe it's just the energy is transmitted through my entire field. It's not only my hands. So for me to touch them, it really doesn't matter. They're receiving it from the entire field that I carry. So it's the animal that chooses, not me.
I just love that. I didn't know about the Shelter Animal Reiki. Is that something that any of us could train in?
Yes. So Sarah, SARA, it's been in place for over 10 years.
Okay.
And there is a lot of information. So anyone can go and get the training required to go through each of the levels. Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. I am probably going to pursue that because I would love to be able to help shelter animals. I've had to with my own fur babies have all been rescues of some kind, or what do you call them? I have a cat household, so I guess they just show up. But I would love to understand how to help animals in that setting. So I'm probably going to pursue that. I love that. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, your message is not just that we can help animals, but that animals are here to teach us. What have animals taught you about unconditional love?
Ooh, that's a very deep question. I think animals, first, out of all of the things that they have taught me, is presence, because it does not matter what kind of animal we have in our household being our companion. It does not matter what kind of species it is. They teach us that in the moment that we are in their presence, nothing else matters. And that's why we love them so much, because they are able to bring us back into our heart immediately. We walk into our home after a very long day at work and we are exhausted. and everything disappears the moment that we see their beautiful face looking at us and being happy that we're home. Everything else goes away. They just bring us into that complete state of presence that we didn't have before. That is a lesson in itself, because how often do we have the ability to come back to a full state of presence without them? When can we do this on our own? So they are teachers. They are truly teaching us. You can do this. You don't have to see my face. You can do it too. But we always depend on them and we love them, and they do it with so much love that they don't mind doing it over and over again. But they are teaching us, you can do this. You can be present and you can actually have a more fulfilling life if you are staying in your heart. So that is one of the big lessons of wisdom that they have shared with me, is time and time again. It doesn't matter if it is a cow. It does not matter if it is a bearded dragon, because I had one. It doesn't matter if it's a cat or a dog or a horse. It does not matter. Every single animal brings us back into our heart like that. And what else do we do during the day that has that ability and is so effective in bringing us to being present? We have to work at it. It's amazing. We have to always, we have to make the point of coming back. But when we are with them, it just happens just spontaneously and without any effort. It's beautiful. So yes, I think that animals have taught me presence, and that is the key to living a happier life. That's one of the biggest keys. Another one is gratitude. They have taught me how important it is to be grateful for the little moments, because their lives are shorter than ours and every single second counts. And never take 1 second for granted, because every little time that we spend with them is precious. And the fact that they chose us to be with them, just that in itself is a reason to be grateful for. So yes, I think gratitude is another one of the lessons that I've learned from them. And in the book, I also share about 10 other different kinds of lessons that I have received from because if we practice them all in the course of, let's say, focus on one each month, in the course of a year, we can be transformed into a much happier person just by following the different kinds of lessons that I have received from the animals that I documented in the book. So yes, they are very wise. They're portals to unconditional love.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And then I can imagine, so I'm going to haven't had a chance to read your book yet myself, but I will. But I'm just thinking, since you've worked with so many different species too, that probably they have even different ways of teaching you this gratitude and presence. I mean, it sounds like it all comes back to the same lessons, but I wonder if, sometimes it's different between species. You said you had a bearded dragon and
Yes.
you've treated cows, and is it different between them, or is it all sort of come down to the same?
Yes. So if you're looking at a bird, for example, let's say that you're having a tough day and you are just looking down and you are all in your head thinking and ruminating over a certain situation. And there comes a bird, and the bird is not on the ground. The bird is actually in the sky. It makes you look up. It makes you get out of, I'm down, I have to go up so that I can see it. First, perhaps it was the bird song that caught your attention. So the bird is actually communicating to you, hey, I'm here. Check me out. I'm here. Get out of your thoughts. Look out. Look up. And the bird is actually telling us, you can see things from a different perspective. Not everything has to be the doom and gloom that you see on the ground. You can actually look up. And the looking up is not just the physical looking up, but it's also the emotional look up. Is chin up and be optimistic. Things can be different. It's just if you just look at it from a whole different view. And the birds are always seeing things from a different perspective because they're above. They're not like us walking. And so it's a different lesson, right? So whenever we see a bird, the message, one of the messages, but always one for sure, see from a different perspective, because there is always a different way of seeing what the situation is about. Hummingbirds in particular, since we're talking about different species, hummingbirds in particular, they embody, to me, they embody that it's like a dolphin in the water. They embody joy and happiness. And this, all these movements that they have, that their tiny bodies allow them to do that other birds can't, is just an expression of how joyful they are and how much that tiny little body can embody is this energy of pure joy. And when I see the hummingbirds, it's a reminder to me to be more joyful in that day. Maybe I'm thinking about, I see hummingbirds literally daily. And I'm not like today. I walked my dog, it was 42 degrees. You're not expecting to see hummingbirds at that in that temperature. But I was walking my dog, 42 degrees, 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun had barely come out. It was a park. I go in, I'm looking at the trees. I'm not looking for birds. I'm looking at the trees because the lushness and the different shades of green just makes me so happy. And I am looking at this very, very tall evergreen. And what is on the very, very top of that evergreen? It is a tiny little hummingbird. How my eyes were able to see it, I have no idea. But I saw the hummingbird was not even flying. The hummingbird was not making any noise, but I saw it and I wasn't looking for it. So that tells you they're always present. And for me, they're always present regardless where I am, regardless what I'm looking at. They're always there to remind me joy. Joy is the key. Stay joyful. And the iridescence of their feathers just is mesmerizing. It really is a masterpiece of beauty in nature. It really is. And not taking that for granted. It's just, it's not something to just dismiss. It's something to admire and appreciate and love. And just imagine how dull the world would be without this iridescent beauty. So just taking that moment to appreciate beauty, that in itself, it's also a lesson. It just makes us happier. So yes, different species do have different messages.
Love that. So I have two cats that I have to take walking. That's a whole other drama. So I was walking my cats. I always have to. And when I was walking them one time, something buzzed my ear. It was a loud buzz. What was that? And when I glanced, I saw it whiz past, and the cats were like doing their thing. And then I happened to notice some kind of really pretty purple flowering plant. It was across a creek, and it was a hummingbird. So I guess it had buzzed me. And me and the cats just stopped and watched this hummingbird, and it did its thing in the flowers and went to a few different ones and buzzed off. And I was like, wow, did it buzz my ear? And I couldn't that close, but I just remember it was this electric energy of, whoop. And I was like, what was that? Whoa. And it was in my store, it was very hot that day. It was like almost 100 degrees. And I was thinking these cats wanting to go walking like this. Yeah, they like, because they can go drink out of the creek, so they love it. But I'm standing there hot and drinking water. So yeah, and I remember that energy was very electric, like zoom. So I loved it. So you blend communication, intuition, and healing when you're working with animals. How do you experience communication with animals? Is it visual? Do you hear things? Do you feel it? Is it just a general empathic sense? What is the communication you sense from animals when you work with them?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because a lot of times we're thinking communication requires words. And so how can anyone talk to an animal if they are not using human words? But it is the same as a baby, a human baby. The human baby has not developed the language yet. They have not acquired the skills to utilize their vocal cords in order to create the different sounds that are required to construct a word, let alone a whole entire sentence. However, we understand them. We understand babies. And it's not just the crying, but we understand by taking all those different cues. And also, we are connected with them telepathically. I'm pretty sure that we are receiving the message, oh, it's time. And we're not even looking at the clock, but it's time. I believe that this is what's needed at this moment. That communication is probably coming from the baby directly. It was not just us being super smart and figuring it out on our own. Probably the baby told us. So animals do the same thing. And I feel it's just so wonderful that they are so connected to our hearts that we are getting those sensations ourselves. And then we know that's what they need in that moment, or that's what they want in that particular moment. So I have an example of how communication works. The things that we should not do. Okay. This is exactly the opposite of what you do. So I was shopping in a store and my dog was in the car and I got this immediate urge, like immediate, that I had to get him out of the car, that he needed to go pee. And I'm like, I looked at my clock and I said, well, he just went pee like less than an hour ago. Why am I thinking this? And I dismissed it. And when I got back to the car, he had actually peed in the car. And I was like, I felt so bad about how did I not listen to my own dog? He was telling me, I need to go. And I dismissed it because I used my brain instead of following my heart. My brain was telling me, oh no, it's not. It's less than an hour. Come on. You don't have to. And my heart was actually receiving the message quite clearly saying, I have to go. I have to go. Please get me out. And yeah, so this is exactly what we should not do. We should not use our brain. We should actually just follow our heart, because the messages that come from the animals are going to be urges, are going to be a feeling, are going to be a sensation. They are subtle messages. They are not going to be using words. You're not going to hear in your ear, you're not going to hear a specific word unless you are clairaudient, and that's what you are used to. But if you're not, typically that's not how you're going to receive the message. In my case, sometimes what I receive is like a little clip of a movie or a picture. And the picture would be the same as, like, in human words, when we are remembering something and we have those memories in our mind, and all of a sudden, let's say that we are listening to a song and all of a sudden it brings us back to high school, and we all have this memory of high school, and then it just plays like a little movie in our mind, like, oh yeah, I was doing that when I listened to that song for the first time. That's like how I feel when I receive a message from the animal. It's like a little movie, even though it's not a remembering of anything because I wasn't there before. It's a movie that is happening in this moment. And the animal is just putting that in my mind. So it is very subtle. And the important part is developing the ability to not dismiss it and to not second guess it, to not doubt it, because that is where we are blocking the communication channel. When we start questioning things and we are like, oh, no, that's not what it is. Like I did, dismissing my own dog. Oh no, it's been less than an hour. How would he have to go at this moment? So that's the important part, because the communication is constantly happening. If you're like watching TV and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have to get my cats in. We need to walk them right now. Where did that urge come from, you think? Was it really you? Because you were watching TV and you were like happy on the couch and just doing your own thing. So where do you think that urge came from? It was not you. So yeah, that's how they communicate. And they're doing it all the time. So if we just take a moment and take inventory of all those times when we receive that urge, all of us are already communicating with our animals without even realizing it. So I'm just making it clear that's how that works.
I love that because that really empowers the rest of us that don't know if we have this kind of skill, that in fact, we really are carrying this kind of skill It's just opening up to realizing once they're in our lives, we're tuned into them. So I love that. My cats are excellent communicators. One of them can even say the word no. So that's a whole, he can
Wow.
say no. I'm like, okay, that's the one word you learned was no. She's
That's
a
the most
calico.
important
And
one.
yeah,
Boundaries.
my vet told me, I was like, I guess it's yeah, his calicos are like, I'm like, she can say no. If I ask her, hey, do you want to come in the house? I get a no. Got it. Got it, queen.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, she
Well,
says no.
that is, you were asking about what lessons did animals teach me. Boundaries is a very important lesson. They are so good at setting boundaries. And we humans, we do not set boundaries. And then we become resentful because we expect others to just automatically understand all about us without us expressing what our limit really is. But animals, they express their limits clearly, no doubt. Like that, saying no, that's impressive. But a dog will bark and say, no, don't get cross this because you're going to regret it. So I love that about animals. They teach us humans, and we use words. So you would expect that we should be better at setting boundaries, right? Because, oh, supposedly we could communicate better. Yeah. So, but animals, they don't have the words and they communicate so much more clearly. They can set a boundary so well that you understand that's not to be done or you're going to pay the consequences. It's awesome.
It really is. It really is. Many people are looking for holistic pet care because they want to support their animals beyond the physical body. So, where do you see animal Reiki fitting into holistic pet care?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So, I believe that if we understand the constitution of any physical body, we are basically a vibrating source of energy. That's what we are. Our atoms are always in a state of motion. We are constantly vibrating. We are a frequency, basically, is what we are. Everything that we consume is a frequency as well. The environment around us is frequency. So when we complement the care of our pets with, of course, good nutrition, a good environment, clean from toxins, and we also incorporate providing a source that uplifts their frequency so that any stagnation that is happening in their bodies can be expelled, can be removed. That in itself will allow the cells in the body to be in a state of homeostasis so that they don't get sick, so that then they don't need medication, so that they can live a longer life and have a better quality of life. So it's incredible if we understand the biology of the body and we know that the at the very essence we are just a tiny little molecule vibrating, and it's clusters and all of that is just a vibration. Our body is just vibration. If we understand that and we understand that Reiki, what it does is just a transmission of higher frequency that will help us be in the highest state of vibration that we need to be. If we understand that, then yes, it's the perfect complement. It does resonate at so many different levels because the body is not just the bones and the flesh and the fur or the scales and the feathers. It's also the mental and the emotional. And if we are able to recalibrate all of those fields, then our animals that live with us, they can have a higher quality of life. My dog is right now 15 years old and he's not taking medication. He doesn't need any medication at this moment. And it's all about how do you manage that vibration so that the body can really be at its homeostasis place.
That's amazing because, of course, that is what our animals would prefer. They don't understand medications. They don't understand, so if they can live without that when possible, we love that. So, how can Reiki support animals and maybe their people when they're sick or during really stressful times, like during a move or transitions? Or even boarding, especially if it's a first time, if you have to board or stay with a relative or family member, or during aging, or even if our pets are grieving themselves because they've lost a family member.
Yeah. Yeah. Reiki works in so many different levels. And I would say it's not just a physical thing, it's really an energetic body thing. It really is the whole entire field that includes emotions and thoughts and feelings, as well as any particular disease that is happening in the body. So it works in all of those levels. So if there is a dog or an animal that is going to be staying with someone else, like I was traveling just recently and my dog was staying with somebody else in my home. So what I would do is I would connect with him when I was away, and I would connect remotely, and I would just let him know, hey, these are these many more days that I'm going to be out, and just send him my love so that he could feel my love. Because at the end of the day, the distance is just inconsequential. It really, what it is, the bond that matters. And so the moment that I am thinking of him, he will be feeling my energy. He will know it's as if I was right next to him. He will feel me. And so that's one of the things that we all can do when we are away from our animals and we are worried. Oh my gosh, they must be missing me. Oh my goodness, and just to give you an example, I came back and he was not depressed or he had not stopped eating. He wasn't exhibiting any of the signs that will show anyone that, oh, he's really missing his person. He wasn't. But that didn't mean that he was not missing me. He was just connecting with me so that he could feel me every single day that I was gone. And so he knew I was with him in a different plane. So we can all do that. In the most important part is the not worrying, is the sending the love. Because somehow, somewhere down the line in our education or in our society, I don't know where exactly this came from, but there is this tacit understanding that if we do not worry, we do not care. And we should eliminate that. We should just, if we care, we love. How about that? That's different. So if we do that when we are away, if we send them love instead of sending them our worries, it makes a more positive impact on their health, on their emotions, and their well-being, their overall well-being. So that's one of the things that we can do to help our animals with Reiki. And if they're grieving, it will be the same thing. We can also provide an environment. I would say enclose them in a bubble of love. Let's just imagine that they are all surrounded and they are uplifted with maybe like a soft pink bubble, and that bubble is full of love, our love, and we just help them out through that moment because they will have to grieve. That's not going to be eliminated. It's just part of the understanding that this separation happened, the physical separation happened. So there will be grief. The Reiki is not going to eliminate that, but it will soften it. And they will be able to get through it with not so much pain. Just the same with us, as well.
And this is what's in your book, I'm assuming as well. I love that you're sharing with us these techniques, but it doesn't mean that we have to actually, learn animal Reiki. We can send love easily. I love that. I love that. And I love the way you're giving us permission that as pet owners, for instance, if you're traveling or if you have a sick animal that has to be admitted to the pet hospital, that you can send love while they're there. Because that's when I've had to do that before. And that can feel so scary because you feel so disempowered. But rather than being afraid and feeling disempowered, send love and send
Yeah.
healing, even when you can't be connected. I love that. So people may hear the term energy healing for pets or animal Reiki and may be curious, or they might be skeptical and think, I'm not so sure. So how would you respond to people that think that maybe that's something that might not work, or you are unsure of the power of energy healing for pets or animal Reiki?
Yes. So When, let me ask you this question with a question. When was the last time that you received a hug from another person and it did not make you feel good?
That's a good question. That is a really good question.
Because that hug was a transmission of energy. It was heart energy coming from that person to you and your heart energy going to them. And that exchange of energy automatically made you feel better, regardless of what was happening, whether you were feeling sick or sad or whatever. But you came out of that hug feeling better than how you were before the hug, right? That's what energy is.
Absolutely.
That's how energy works. You don't need to have a scientific explanation how the hug actually make you feel better, but it did. It really did. And so when you are with an animal and you are providing energy healing, it's the same concept. You do not really have necessarily the scientific explanation, which we can actually get into that. There is documentation that can show is not as abstract as we may think. But the easiest way that I can explain that is, yeah, it's a hug. It's a heart energy exchange that is happening with two people. We can do it with animals because we can do it with any creature, with any living creature. And we can do it even plants, trees. So every time that someone talks to a plant, that plant gets happier and blooms and gets greener. That is scientifically proven. If you go to places where they grow plants in order to produce a specific drink or specific whatever, they are playing music to those plants in that particular place. I have been to locations where they are actually playing music to make the plants feel happier. It is proven that it actually is true. So it's just that we don't talk about it in school. And so it's, oh, this novelty must be not true. But it is true because all you need to do is try it yourself and you'll see the results. And so don't take my word for it. Just try it out. Go and talk to your plants in the house and tell me if those plants don't get greener or bloom more because it does happen. They will respond to that energy that you are investing in them, and they are going to reciprocate by just blooming and thriving in your house. It's amazing how everything that is alive responds to our energy. Everything. It's just beautiful. Sometimes I just go for a walk and I just connect with the elemental energy, and not sometimes, every day actually. So let me rephrase that. And I am just saying, well, thank you, air, for whatever. And then I feel this breeze that just brushes through my skin and it just feels like a kiss on my cheek. And I'm like, wow, it's just beautiful. Or then I'm just in a state of gratitude for the air, and then I start hearing the rustling of the leaves nearby, and it feels like the waves of the ocean, just as if I was transported into the coast at the beach. It's just magical how everything responds to our energy. So when we start paying attention to those little things, they become not so little, they just become us, they just are part of us. So yes, it's beautiful. Energy is always there and is present everywhere around us. And if you ever want to think about it, just remember the hug.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, for those of us that have our animal companions, can you share with us a few simple practices that we could try at home to develop a deeper bond with our animals?
Yes, yes. So I explain in the book that a lot of these techniques are first to fill our cup before we are sharing it with others, because we cannot give what we do not have. So if we are not in a place where our cup is full, like we feel complete, we feel full, we feel at our best, we are not in a place where we can actually provide any particular healing to someone else. We have to start with us. So the most important thing, and this is covered in the book very clearly and very in a lot of detail, the very first thing that we need to do is take care of ourselves. So how do we take care of ourselves in the moment? Taking a deep breath. It sounds so cliche to say that, but the breath is the easiest way for us to basically recalibrate our nervous system. Because if we want to exude tranquility to an animal and we are not calm, it's not going to happen. It won't happen. We have to be calm first. So the most important thing is let's recalibrate our nervous system. Let's be in a place of, I feel good. And then when I feel good, then I can help my animal feel good. So taking deep breaths, taking care of ourselves, practicing self-love, taking a moment to just rest, having soft music in the house, just so that our nervous system is relaxed from all the attacks of noises and information and everything that is attacking us. It's an oversensory, it's an overload to our senses every single day. The moment we get out of the house, is wow, it's a lot. Just we are surrounded. So all of us, we do need to be recalibrated so that we can actually be in a place where I want my very anxious animal to be less anxious. But if I am anxious myself, how is that going to work? Because what I'm going to be sending is more anxiety to my pet. That's not going to help. It's not going to help. It's going to add on. So, how do I take care of myself? That's the key. And all starts with breath. Just taking a very deep breath, it just starts recalibrating our vagus nerve. Then our entire body starts relaxing. When our entire body starts relaxing, then we can be in a place where now I can help my animal feel relaxed as well. So it's all in the book. I explain that very clearly because a lot of times we think, oh, everything is about my dog, but what about me? We have to start with first me, then I can help my dog.
Thank you so much. So, speaking of, if you can tell us about your book and where we can get a copy of your book.
Yes, thank you. So the name of my book is The Path to Unconditional Love, and you can find it anywhere online. If you would like to support your local bookstores, my book is carried by all the independent bookstores in the US. You can also find it in any of the typical retailers. So I always recommend, of course, you can find it in Amazon, obviously, but if you would like to support your favorite local bookstore, you can always go to their website and they can order it. Or you can also get it from bookshop.org, which also supports local bookstores. So you have choices. You can actually find my book anywhere. And I will be publishing the translation to French and also to Spanish. So if your native language is not English and it's one of those languages, hold on tight. It's coming up. It will be published this year.
Well, Stephanie, it has been such a pleasure and such a breath of fresh air to have you on the podcast. And it just truly from the bottom of my heart because animal Reiki has been such an important part of my life. And it's helped me connect with my own animals and it's helped during some really difficult times with my pets. So there was never going to be a good segue for me to even share with the community about this. And then as you were coming, I was like, oh, thank goodness. This is a perfect segue. And the way you linked animal health, well-being, mind, body, and spirit with ours. So I'm so glad you're telling us this because there was really no other avenue for me to even discuss this with the community. So bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's been an honor being here with you and thank you for the opportunity. And yes, absolutely. If you have any questions once you get the book, you know where to find me.
And before you go, I almost did forget. But where do we find you? Where do we find you online? Are you accepting clients? Do you book sessions? Is it possible for someone to work with you?
Yes, absolutely. I do. You can find me I have a podcast as well. So the easiest way to find all the links to where to find me would be to go to my podcast in the notes. It's my website and also the places where I teach either in person or online. And the podcast is called Purrs, Barks, and Tweets with Love because it's the language of the animals, it's not mine. So that's the name of the podcast is Purrs, Barks, and Tweets with Love. And you can find it in Spotify or Apple Podcast as well. So yes, that's the easiest way that I can tell you. I do have a class coming up at the end of May and will also be available after May so that you can do the recording. And that is in Kumara Academy. And that is Kumara with a K, Kumara Academy. That one will be available. So even if it is not at the end of May, you can always find it in the recorded sessions and learn more about it because, yeah, I'll be teaching it on the 30th and the 31st of this month.
So, those of you listening, if you will check your show notes, I'll make sure that you have all of the ways to connect with Stephanie. If you are watching on the webinar, you should see on the page here all the resources to connect with Stephanie. And if you did miss any of that, you should see a pretty easy link to sign up for my email newsletter, where I'll be sharing all of her information to connect with her. If you're wanting a session for your own animals, if you're wanting to learn how to do this from her. And Stephanie, again, thank you. You shared wonderful resources. I plan to take you up on some of these offers. So thank you. This is lovely. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. This is wonderful. I love it. It's like we all can be animal healers, all of us. This does not require any particular special gift. We all are. So the more the better.
Thank you so much for joining during this episode of the Art of Healing podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please leave a review. Also, you can check your show notes to find out how to get a copy of this and future episodes emailed directly to your inbox, available to listen to anytime. Finally, if you have questions or wish to connect to me, check your show notes to find out how we can get connected and find out how I can be of service to you.